Hello everyone, my name's Ariadne Rainbird and I'm a pagan chaplain, and today I'd like to talk about the winter solstice. This talk was originally created for prison radio. The winter solstice generally falls on the 21st or 22nd of December. It is
shortest day and longest night, a point of change, from the days becoming shorter to after this day the light returning and the days growing longer again. As an astronomical event, it is a fairly universal festival, celebrated in many different cultures under different names and by many different pagan traditions. This is the time that we celebrate the return of the waxing sun. Light and life can be seen to be returning and conquering death. The solstice is a turning point where the tides of the year turn and begin to flow in the opposite direction. It is the darkest time of year, the time of the longest night, but in this there is the promise of the return of light. We look forward to and encourage the sun to rise and grow in power, and we remember the seasons of plenty, and magically bring it back as we feast on rich foods and drinks to remember the good times and rejoice in the seasons to come. In some modern Druidic traditions, the Mabon, the child of light, is welcomed back at this time. Mabon, son of Modron, is a character in the Welsh myths of the Mabinogion, whose name has unfortunately become associated with the autumnal equinox in modern neo-paganism, due to the American writer Aidan Kelly wanting to give a name to the equinox festival and having a limited understanding of Welsh myth. To most Welsh witches and druids, however, Mabon as the child of light is associated with the winter solstice and the beginning of the waxing year. In Anglo-Saxon and Northern traditions, the 9-day period around the winter solstice is known as Yule, though there are variations on when this 9-day period begins and ends. Some celebrate it beginning 9 days before solstice and ending on the solstice. Others begin celebrating Yule at solstice and carry on for 9 days after. Though many modern pagans use the term Yule to refer just to the solstice itself or the 2 or 3 days around solstice, just as many Christians call Christmas Yule. In Roman tradition, the festival of Saturnalia was celebrated at this time, and varied through history from being a 3-day festival to a 5-day festival to eventually a 7-day festival, beginning on the 17th of December and ending on the 23rd of December. After which, on the 24th of December, in the later Roman Empire, the festival of Sol Invictus, the invincible sun, was celebrated, and still is celebrated today by modern pagans of the Religio Romana tradition. Saturnalia is the festival of the Titan god Saturn, who rules over the Golden Age. And again, Saturnalia is a time of feasting, plenty, and remembering better times. Saturnalia was a raucous festival where everyday rules were turned on their heads, and it included a day where slaves swapped places with their masters, and masters served upon slaves. The theme of chaos and disorder in winter festivities is also reflected in the Welsh tradition of the Mari Lwyd. The Mari Lwyd is a dressed horse's skull, which is paraded through the town or village, and it used to be taken from door to door by a troupe of singers, musicians and merrymakers in December or January. The troupe would knock on a householder's door, and a battle in poetry in Welsh would then take place between the Mari Lwyd troupe and the householders. If the Mari Lwyd troupe won the battle, then they would go into the house and they would drink the beer and eat the food of the householders, but they would also bring blessings to the house. If, however, the householders won, then the Mari Lwyd troupe would go on its way to the next house. But in practice, most householders would want the Mari Lwyd to come in because the Mari Lwyd brought blessings. Although this custom largely died out for many years, the custom is now being revived in many parts of Wales, particularly by pagan groups, although the Mariloid troop is more likely to go into pubs or through the streets than call at people's houses. Some people believe that the Mariloid may be a remnant of the Roman Saturnalia festival, as the Romano-Celtic horse goddess Epona has her festival on the 18th of December, and this festival was incorporated into the Saturnalia festivities. Epona is the only Celtic goddess who had her own official festival in Rome, due to the importance of horses to the Roman army. Some modern Druids believe the Mariloid to be representative of Rhiannon, a Welsh heroine or goddess associated with horses, and whom some associate with Epona, and whose name may have been derived from a possible earlier Celtic goddess, Rigantona, or Great Queen. In modern Hellenic tradition, the solstice is called heliostasis, the sun standing still, and is celebrated as a point of change, with the following day being Heliogena, the birthday of Helios, the sun god. In my own tradition, the birthday of Dionysos, the god of wine and festivities, as well as of the mysteries, is celebrated after Heliogena on the 24th of December, and for 12 days following, a remnant of the Dionysian winter festival of Brumalia in ancient times. At the winter solstice, it is customary to decorate the home with branches of evergreen, and many people decorate evergreen trees. The fir tree represents life amidst death. It is evergreen, representing everlasting life and lasting friendship. Holly and mistletoe bear berries at this time, symbolising fertility and symbolising the god and the goddess. Evergreen trees also represent youth and freshness, and are symbols of the promise of spring. A solstice practice still practiced at Christmas is to dress an evergreen tree and to make offerings. We honour the spirit of the tree and of nature and of what the evergreen represents. Sadly, this has become a largely meaningless custom to the majority now of decorating a plastic tree with tinsel and baubles with no thought as to why they do it. Though some modern pagans use a consecrated artificial tree year after year as somewhere to hang charms and blessings, whilst honouring the living trees outdoors with libations and offerings. In Wicca-based paganism, at the winter solstice we say goodbye to the dying sun, and wait through the long cold night for the sun's rebirth. The night belongs to the goddess, and is the night of waiting, through her pregnancy, for the child of promise. In the morning we greet the new sun and celebrate the waxing year. The rising sun brings the promise of the spring and the gifts that it will bring. It is still a long time before the sun will be strong, but we hope and trust. The sun is now the child of promise, the young hero god, the Mabon. It is a time of making wishes and expressing hopes for the coming year, and the making of resolutions. From the darkness comes light. Simple solitary rituals can be done in the evening before the longest night, as close to sunset as possible, and in the morning after the longest night, at sunrise or as close as possible. Some people like to spend the night in between in vigil, meditating, though it is a long time to stay awake, and most people just meditate for part of the night, as the demands of modern life make staying awake the whole night very difficult. The altar may be decorated with any seasonal decorations it is possible for you to have: fir cones, fruit, sprigs of evergreen and fruit, nuts, cake, biscuits, or other foods. For the evening ritual, visualise a sphere of love and protection around you. Call on the element of air in the east, asking for new beginnings and a good spring. In the south, call on the element of fire, asking for vitality and the return of life force. In the west, call on the element of water and ask for love and understanding of the seasons. In the north, call on the element of earth, asking for strength, resolution, and a good material foundation. Call on the sun god, saying something along the lines of, "May the golden light of the sun ever warm me and nourish me. Even now he has reached his weakest point. With light and joy, I call him back to birth. Call on the goddess as the great mother who gives birth to the sun, and as the fiery goddess of the sun herself, but also as the barren and icy goddess of the winter earth. Spend time in quiet contemplation and think about resolutions you want to make for the year ahead. Bless your food and drink, concentrating on the return of the richness of the earth. Thank the goddess and god and the elements, and close the circle. In the morning, greet the new waxing sun. Have a good Yule. Blessed be.